Hello again, this is Carter Machiavelli. Today's topic is self-improvement cults, generally cults all over the internet, and why you should probably stay away from them. So it's like 4 o'clock in the morning right now. I just got up, not because I'm an early bird or something, just because I was really tired yesterday at like, I don't know, 6 p.m. and I just fell asleep. Shit happens, right? But it's a great opportunity for me to reset my sleep cycle to something normal, to something fitting to the system we live in. Now, anyways, I have been following the internet for many, many years. I have kept track, kept an eye on many, many different cults and communities that have grown over the past centuries on the internet. And what I've seen is a noticeable difference in the communities that have grown out of it, from simple as fan bases to actual full grown cults. Nowadays, scrolling through the internet and getting bombarded with the YouTube recommendations feels like watching Big Brother. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say infuriating, but it's kind of worrying of what the internet has become. You see, when Andrew Tate has gotten big, people were obsessed with it simply because he has a very loud message that he transfers to the people around the internet, and simply because he is very controversial for reasons. So he was very controversial, and he started to fall off after it became known that he is an actual criminal and not like the crazy badass type of criminal, but actually just an idiot and a complete criminal that deserves to be condemned for his actions. So what we call Andrew Tate in psychological terms is the typical cult leader psychopath. He talks a lot. He talks like a huge load of bullshit, and he says it with like the ultimate like confidence, as he would say it. So he has a high sense of self-security when he says things, and he is quite talented at lying, at least in the non-verbal lying part. So he knows how to lie without itching or to giving away too much using his body language, right? And so he's therefore very good at releasing like lies like a printer. What he's not really talented in is lying without getting caught, obviously, because he talks so much that reviewing his past interviews and the courses he put up, which the dicot is already like dealing with for the past couple of years, it is become pretty evident that there is not much believable in what he's saying, and he just puts everything on the matrix to make that sound like a cause for his arrests and his extraditions and his house arrests and so on. Now, of course, I'm not saying right here that the concept of the matrix is non-existent. There is, in fact, very much likelihood that we are in some kind of like really corrupt, controlling world, but that's a completely different topic, right? The problem is if you have such a power of knowing the matrix, which Andrew Tate clearly has not. You have the power to use it for good or for evil. And basically, Andrew Tate is also using it for evil, but also simply just making the money, just yapping about the matrix, just to climb up the ladder in the matrix, right? He's not doing shit to combat the matrix. And Andrew Tate, of course, isn't the only example of an internet cult, but he's the most obvious one. So he's like the pinnacle of the internet cults simply because it's like everybody knows him. He's like gained notoriety all over across mainstream media. But there is more subtle versions of internet cults, and one of these that I wanted to talk about today is the so-called self-improvement cult. So basically, this is a organized group of people that is sort of a cult, so you would say a community where the only obsession about life is to improve oneself, and they pretty much specify in what kind of areas you have to improve yourself, like physical fitness, reading, meditation, and also a lot of other areas, right? While it may sound useful to meditate, stay physically active, and read, it's also common sense at some point, right? So meditation is not that much common sense, it's not that intuitive because it's more like an Eastern, like Asian type of activity that you do. You see it a lot in Buddhists and other countries. Like for example, in Western kind of martial arts like boxing, kickboxing, you don't have meditative exercises. You don't really see that in training, but you do see it a lot in Kung Fu, sometimes in Taekwondo, and a lot in Aikido. Now, that may or may not make East Asian kind of martial arts more effective than Western. I'm not too much into that. At the end of the day, a martial art is a martial art, and if you train a martial art, you are better off than not training it and just going to the gym and lifting weights and thinking you are Mike Tyson just because you're buff. Now the problem is with this whole idea of self-improvement and making this your whole identity is simply the fact that there is this concept in meditation, in Buddhists, that meditation, the sole purpose of meditation is to detach yourself from your own ego. And the way self-improvement YouTubers and communities do meditation leads to a completely counterintuitive effect. So basically, they meditate, they yap about meditating. I meditate every day. I meditate every day for 20 minutes to an hour. Like, come on, fuck off. First of all, it's not really always believable, right? It sounds like it sounds fishy. I don't actually think you're doing all these things you do. Second of all, if it's used to market yourself, if it's used to show other people why you are a Scientology kind of like higher league of human breeds than other people, then it has the complete counterintuitive effect of detaching yourself from your own ego, but instead you are in a so-called, what's called the pitfall of meditation, the beginner meditator who starts meditating, sees positive effects, and gets a huge ego because of it. You see, meditation is made for increasing awareness around oneself, decreasing your perception filters, and being able to see reality more of what it is. And getting a huge ego is basically a way to distort your own reality and more see it in a more subjective manner than it is in an objective manner. Now, of course, it might sound a little bit hypocritical for me because, admittedly, I also have a huge ego, but I'm not really a big fan of meditating, right? But this is like, if you look at it from the bird's eye perspective, this is what differs the actual Buddhists from self-improvement mentors. And that's where this would be the first sign for you to see that this stuff, this whole community is a lot of bullcrap. Now let's get some of the other factors quickly to other sayings they say. To quickly like pick up on it, right? Reading. Reading is shown to have neurologically positive effects because at the end of the day, people have read for thousands and thousands of years, right? It increases brain plasticity and overall works on your concentration because reading essentially, speaking from my experience as well, I'm not a big fan of reading, but sometimes I have to, and if it's fun, I'll like it. I just have to get into it after like 20 minutes, right? It is hard work to do. It is tiring for your eyes. That's why many people fall asleep while they are reading a book. They're like, oh, right? And it really takes a toll on your concentration if you're not used to it or if you have to read something you're not really that interested in. But feeling better about yourself just because you read a book a day isn't really the way to go for. I personally don't have many books at home. I have a couple of ones, but I've maybe read like 5% of them fully. Simply because anyone can write a book, and not all books have to be somewhat good, right? Also, many books like fiction books and something, they are made for pure entertainment, so they are not really the kind of books that differ so much from the video games and the movies they bring out. So it's not like reading any kind of book can bring a positive effect to your life. Sometimes it's even counterintuitive. Now, to the video games part, they also propagate the message of stopping to play video games. Let me put it that way. It's not the video games that are at fault, it's the video game industry. I believe the main reason why the self-improvement cult has emerged from society is like a protest to what's called the what should I call it? Sucking people into industries kind of development of economics. So social media is getting more and more outbuilt. Like the feeds are getting more and more shit. I deleted Instagram like, I don't know, maybe in 2019, and I started again using it in like, let's say 2020 something ish, and after that in 2023 again. And just by these sheer pauses that I made, I realized that Instagram has turned into complete fucking shit. You don't see your friends post what friends post again, anymore, or hardly, when scrolling through Instagram. You see some random fucking influencers nobody cares about really and nobody knows. Like, why the fuck would I care what kind of picture he posted in front of the Eiffel Tower? Like, come on, grow up. And it's become a real nightmare and a real pain in the ass, a real headache on Instagram. Just looking through Instagram just to interact with your friends and comment some bullshit on your friend's posts, and instead seeing some random ass people you don't even know and you don't really care about, just because the algorithm wants you to spread out more on their app. When it comes to video games, it's already 15 minutes in. When it comes to video games, I still play video games, but I play the oldies, the so-called old GTAs, for example. They are still a great thing that I regularly get back to because it brings me back my childhood experiences, right? But GTA is a great example to make my point clear. If we compare like the GTA 1, GTA 2, GTA 3, the whole 3D area of GTA, and even like the fourth part of GTA, like GTA 4 and the episodes, to GTA 5, it's a complete difference in the amount of time you consume it and the basically emptiness of the open world you're in. So basically, video games are nowadays made to sell DLCs and also to keep the player hooked for as long time as possible, right? Because data at the end of the day is money. And if you can make an addicting online game like GTA 5 Online, which is the worst fucking piece of shit that I've ever seen, you get just a huge amount of cash grab. And fundamentally, if you like play 8 hours of video games a day and every day, maybe you should take a cut on it, right? Because maybe you're really addicted to some kind of online game that is just eating you from inside out to the point that you don't have any other areas in your life to focus on. Maybe if you're scrolling on social media for like 8 hours a day for no reason other than killing your time, you are probably, you should probably take some time considering if you should delete that shit or if you have any other interests to focus on. So it's not about the things itself that are harmful to you. For example, like posting on Twitter and interacting with people on Twitter, with like-minded people on Twitter, is not a bad use of social media, because you are talking about your interests, like for example politics or something, right? But it's not like you're mindlessly getting presented, consuming content just all the way to kill your time somewhere, or just because to fire dopamine receptors. At the end of the day, people with self-improvement in mentality are obsessed with themselves. There is a quite viral comparison that they make, and it goes back to the Fight Club movie from, I think it was Tyler Durden or someone else in the movie that said this. It's like, self-improvement is masturbation. Basically, you have some kind of inferiority complex that you're trying to compensate, and you get obsessed with improving yourself instead of trying to improve the world or trying to be curious to learn more about the world, because essentially improving yourself is a part of the equation, and at the end of the day, every one of us improves themselves at something. Every day. Maybe not every day, maybe every couple of days, so it's noticeable. But being curious about the world and not just being obsessed without yourself is another part of the equation. So this is something people should win back. That's my message. Thank you for watching.